All right, today we are diving into one of the oldest, most powerful stories humanity has ever told. It's a story about judgment, yeah, but it's also about incredible faith and the promise of a brand new start. So to really get this, you gotta go back with me. I mean, way back, to a time before our world even looked like the world we know today. Think about it, a time before there were any nations, any kingdoms, or empires. Humanity was young. But, well, a kind of darkness was already starting to creep across the earth. And that, right there, that's the heart of the problem. According to the ancient texts, it's like humanity's potential for good was just being totally swamped by violence and corruption. And that, well, that led to a decision from on high that would literally reshape the entire planet. Which brings us right here. The world had lost its way, completely adrift, but one person was about to get a call that would change everything. Listen to the language here. It's incredibly powerful. It's not just saying, oh, some people did some bad things. No, it describes a world completely saturated with evil, that every single thought in a person's heart was corrupt. We're not talking about a few bad apples. We're talking about a world where wickedness was the default setting. But in all that chaos, all that darkness, one man stood apart. His name was Noah. And this description of him, it's absolutely crucial. It sets Noah apart not just for what he did, but for who he was. Perfect in his generations, that suggests a kind of moral integrity that was totally out of place for his time. And that phrase, walked with God, that implies this deep, personal, obedient relationship. He was actually listening when nobody else was. So God turns to this one righteous man and gives him a mission. And I mean, what a mission. It was so huge, so completely unbelievable, that to anyone else, it would have sounded absolutely insane. I mean, just look at these numbers for a second. 510 feet long. You know, that's longer than a football field and a half. This wasn't just some boat. This was a floating fortress, a colossal vessel designed to survive a world-ending event. And the command? Go build it, in the middle of nowhere, on dry land. Oh, and get this, Noah was over 500 years old when he and his sons started this project. I mean, the sheer scale of the task is already mind-blowing, but his age just adds this whole other layer of how unbelievable this command really was. You can just imagine it, can't you? The day in, day out ridicule. For decades, he wasn't just a builder, he was a sideshow. Every single day, hammering away on this gigantic thing. He was basically a walking sermon that all his neighbors just laughed at and ignored. You see, the real test here wasn't about building a boat. It was a test of endurance. For maybe 100 years, Noah kept on working, kept on preaching, with zero physical proof that this flood was ever going to happen. He was running on pure faith, on God's word alone, staring down constant doubt. So after all those years of waiting, of building, of being mocked, the time for jokes was over. The day Noah had been warning everyone about, it was finally here. And this final sequence of events is just so dramatic. First, this miracle happens. The animals just start showing up on their own, a clear sign that this is a divine operation. Then Noah's family gets on board. But here's the kicker, the third step. God himself seals the door. That's it. The chance to get on board was over. Judgment was coming. And listen, this was not just a rainstorm. The imagery here is of a world literally coming apart at the seams. Water is bursting up from under the ground while it's also pouring from the sky. It's like a complete cosmic undoing of creation. So the rain itself fell for 40 days and 40 nights. Think about that, a storm lasting over a month. But the real test? The waters prevailed. They covered everything for 150 days. That is 5 months. Can you imagine? 5 months floating in a wooden box on a silent, dead ocean with nothing but your faith that the water would one day go back down. But you know what? Destruction wasn't the end of the story. The storm finally passes, the waters begin to calm, and the whole narrative shifts from judgment to hope, to the promise of a second chance. So after all those months of waiting, Noah sends out a dove, and when it comes back, holding a freshly picked olive leaf. That's it. That's the first proof that the earth is alive again. It's such a small, simple thing, but man, it carries the weight of an entire new world. And when Noah and his family finally step back onto dry land, God makes a covenant with them, an unbreakable promise. This is the bedrock of it all. Never again. The kind of judgment that just happened will never happen again. It's a promise of mercy for all of us, for all future generations. And to seal the deal, God gives us all this beautiful, visible sign, the rainbow. Something born from light and water, the very things that brought the storm, is now a permanent reminder of God's grace and His promise to never, ever destroy the world that way again. So what's the deal? Why does this ancient story still hit so hard today? Let's break down some of the big lessons from Noah's life and his legacy. When you really boil it all down, these are the takeaways, right? It's about having the integrity to walk with God, even when the rest of the world is going in the complete opposite direction. It's about obeying, even when you don't get it. It's about staying faithful through those long seasons of waiting, trusting that God keeps His promises, and maybe most of all, that one person's righteousness really can change the world. And that really brings us to the big, final question this whole story leaves us with. See, Noah didn't wait for the rain to start building. He trusted the warning long before there was any sign of a storm. So the question for you and me is, what does that mean for us today? In our own lives, what warnings are we being called to listen to? What arcs are we supposed to be building in faith long before any storm clouds even start to gather on the horizon?